Hey guys, so today we are asking the question, should you scarify first or should you aerate first? If you're doing scarifying and aerating, which order should you do them in? Seems to be having a bit of rain. Brilliant. I'm going to explain a few different scenarios to you so you can get the idea for yourself. Today we are scarifying and aerating this big property. Let me just quickly show you around. So we've got 3 lawns at the front, very drought stressed, but there is a huge amount of thatch in these ones. I'll just quickly take you through to the back. I've got a small one here, and then we've got the back again. They've not been scarified for a very long time, and it's a fine fescue grass which produces a lot of thatch. And we've also got a lot of wind, which is going to make it very interesting when we're trying to clear up. But we shall prevail. We shall prevail. In general, it looked quite good, but then this, I think last year it struggled a bit over this section because it's always exposed, it's always in the heat. They get ants as well. And then this year it's just been really bad because we've had the hosepipe ban. So let's scarify and aerate, and let's explain a little bit more about what we can do. So in general, there's no major right or wrong way to do it. Other people do it a little bit differently, and that's fine. This is just my personal point of view and things that I've sort of come to think about over the last few years. So if I'm scarifying and aerating, I usually like to scarify first and then clear it all off and then go over with the mower so there's no thatch or bits of debris sat on the ground. And the reason I say that is because then when you aerate, you generally, if it's a big lawn like this, you want to use a big blower to blow it all into line so you're not there all day raking up. And when you blow the cores, if you've still got lots of thatch left, they go absolutely everywhere. They're going to borders, they're going to neighbours' gardens, and it's not good, it's not tidy, it's not neat. It doesn't look professional. So that is the way I've always done it. It's also beneficial doing it that way when you are seeding. Okay? Because this is my opinion, that when you've aerated, you've done all that first, and then you've got the holes nice and exposed, then when you put the seed down, you've got nice grooves from the scarifying, and you've got the holes, the aeration holes, that the seeds can drop down into those. And then when you put your top dressing on, the top dressing covers the seeds, and then they're nicely protected from the wind and the birds, and there you go, all good. So why is it that some people do it the other way around? Well, there are other people, other YouTubers, that would aerate and scarify first. Now I see the benefit in doing that because it is faster, because you aerate, and then when you go over with the Scarify, it breaks all of the cores up, and then you're just raking it up once, and I get that. And that is what I'm going to do on this lawn today. If I was seeding, I could still do it that way, but I would want to make sure that the holes are nice and clear for me to then seed. That is the only reason I've always scarified first and then aerated, because I want to make sure that we get decent seed germination. However, over the last year or two, I've seen other YouTubers doing it the other way and putting seed down and top dressing, and it still works. So I'm always learning something. It's just that's the way I've always done things for years and years and years, 20 odd years, and it sticks in. So we're not seeding today, we're just scarifying and aerating. So I'm going to aerate first, then I'm going to scarify, which will chop the cores up, and then I'm going to rake it all up, bag it all up, and go over with the mower. One, because it'll make sure I can get this job done in a full day, which I should do absolutely fine. And for two, it doesn't matter if some of the holes are then filled up with a little bit of stuff. because the holes are still there. They've just got a little bit of loose stuff inside, if you get what I'm saying. A little bit of soil, a couple of grass clippings. But in general, that compaction is now sorted out because we've pulled the core out and the subsurface thatch. So it's now going to drain better, even if that hole has been filled in again with a bit of soil. That soil inside the hole is looser now, so it's still going to drain better. So we're still achieving good aeration and good scarifying. So moving forward, I may start doing it that way all the time, but I just want to make sure that if I do it that way, that the seed will still germinate well and that some will get down the holes. So I'll have to make sure after I've done the mowing, if I'm doing it that way, that the seeds can still get down and the holes are still exposed. So I'm going to put you onto a time lapse for this because I need to just get on and get this done. I'll move the camera around, but in general, I won't be doing any more talking until probably right at the end, and we'll see you guys there. But if you've got any questions, please pop them down there in the comments below, and I will answer your comments. I answer as many as I can. I'm here to help. This time of year, we are in the first week of October. I think it is the 6th today, and you can still scarify and you can still aerate. Personally, I like to do it no later than the middle of October if we're seeding. You can go a little bit later if you're not seeding and you've got plenty of open space for the sun to get on and help it recover. So anywhere up to the end of October is fairly safe, as long as it's not wet and boggy. All right, I'm going to crack on. Speak to you soon. Now, are there any exceptions? Well, another thing that I've forgotten about is that if you have a massive amount of thatch on your lawn and you aerate first, you've got to get down through the thatch before you're touching the soil. So you need a really heavy machine, which we have, and you need to check the cores that you've pulled afterwards. So there's a good inch or so of soil there, and then you can see the thatch layer. So this is okay, but if I'd run the machine over and it was nearly all thatch and very little soil, I'd scarify first and then aerate, and that is because then the aerator is then closer to the soil and we can get deeper aeration holes. Seem to be having a bit of rain. Brilliant. That's the aeration done, so now we're going to scarify. We had all the rain, so I popped inside, had a cup of tea, 5-10 minutes, and the rain's just eased back a little bit. So the ground is still nice and firm. If it's nice and firm, you can still do it. What I'm looking out for is if it starts to get muddy, boggy and squelchy, at that point I'll just stop. As long as you've got a good powerful scarifier and you take your time, you can still scarify effectively without ripping out too much grass. So it's all about taking your time and doing things steady. That is what makes a good scarify and a good aeration. As you can see, I just took my time with the machines there. So basically we've run the Scarify over and you can just see the grooves here. Because it is slightly wet, the grooves are a little bit deeper, but that is still very much acceptable. Now if things continue to get wetter and wetter and wetter, the machine will sink in deeper and deeper, putting deeper grooves in. As long as it's doing a nice clean Scarify, I will continue, but if it starts to getting really boggy, then that's the point at which I'll stop. Well, you can just see how much more has come out of this top lawn here. This was obviously the worst. It's more exposed to the sun and it just gets a lot more thatch. You might be thinking, he's brought white ton bags, why is he using black bags? Well, it's very wet, which means it's very heavy, and I can only get about 3 or 4 piles in each ton bag, and it's really heavy. I've got to be able to lift it up and on top of all my machines. So I'm just filling them up with as many as I can. The rest are going in bags. I might have to use customer's bin, but it's with it being a big job, it's quite a long process picking all these cores up now. They don't pick up easily because they're so wet and heavy, so I'm having to pick them up by hand. Still, we're getting there. Nearly finished the front, just got all the back to do, and then a bit of a tidy up, mow around, and job's a good one. Whew. We're finally done. That was a big job. We arrived at 7:45 this morning and it's 3:45 now. So just to confirm, you can scarify and aerate in the wet. Obviously not when it's too wet, boggy, because when you walk on it, it brings water up to the surface, it sort of vibrates it up. But we've got, oh god, I don't know, 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14, 16, roughly 20 bags here. 5 or 6 there. Maybe 10 there. It's like 35 with these. We're getting up for about 40 bags. So it's done. It just wants a mow over just to tidy it up. But other than that, it's done. This will recover. It'll take about 6 weeks, roughly, maybe a bit longer, depending on the weather, if we get plenty of moisture and sunshine. But it'll all come back. Just a couple of small spots really, where it might need a bit of seed on, but in general, this is what you get when you scarify and aerate. It looks rough for a few weeks when it comes back. So if you have any questions, please pop them down below in the comment section. If you like it, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber, etc, etc, etc. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.